to Clamp, the weekly podcast where we discuss all things related to creating, living, and making projects. I'm your host this week, Adam Mackey, and joining me as always is Jessy Ratfink. And unfortunately, Grant is unwell this week, but we have a weirder guy to replace him. Whether you need some amazing advice on how do you scare your kids to sleep using chain chomps from Mario, like inverted nipples, or suck so much at golf that you need a massive golf pencil to write down your huge strokes, then he's your guy. Joining us this week is one of my best friends, a weird guy.
Hey, thanks, man. That was awesome.
I have to ask, though, inverted nipples?
Well, you saw the vase that I just made like a month ago?
Okay,
with the
yes.
weird dimples across the front. It's like
That
it was
makes
like a
more
dimple
sense.
with a bump and a dimple inside it. And Adam and about two other people both told me that they kind of looked like inverted nipples.
Okay. Whew. All right. I was just like, what in the world? Okay.
That was not a design choice. That was just coincidental, I guess.
Happy accident, like Bob Ross
happy
would
accident.
say.
Sure. Happy little accidents.
So Jeff, how about you tell everyone about yourself?
All right. Well, I'm Jeff. I go as a weird guy, and I call myself a digital fabricator and an artist. Those are the labels I like. I specialize in CNC work, preferably things that most normal people wouldn't touch or think of doing.
Like inverted nipples.
Like a vase with inverted nipples, exactly. Nobody would think of doing that, including me. But hey, you see what you like to see. That's you failing the Rorschach test, Adam. That's not me.
I thought they looked like targets. Like, I did not think nipples.
I didn't either. But yeah, I got to admit, he wasn't the only one. I did have a couple other private messages saying that those kind of were a little nipply.
Well, I've seen a few in my day, so.
Inverted ones?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anyway, I specialize in doing crazy CNC stuff. I like to do things that are complicated and hard. I don't seem to be having any success in selling any of my work. So I'm just in this for personal fulfillment. I find CNC work to be exceptionally complicated, especially using Fusion and carving things from more than one or two or four sides, whatever it takes. And having that level of complexity poses me with a challenge that really gives me a feeling of accomplishment when I figure out how to do something that's just improbably crazy.
Yeah. So if you haven't realized already, Grant not being here means this episode's going to be very unhinged. We don't have Grant telling us we can't make inverted nipple jokes and all that stuff. Now, to make that inverted nipple vase...
To be fair,
Jeff,
he's the one that wouldn't stop bringing up hookers last episode.
Oh, my God.
Well,
I know.
True. And he has an issue with 6 inches. But so to make that vase, you had to... vase, whatever. Tomato. You got a new tool, which is a fifth axis or fourth axis? Fourth axis CNC.
Fourth, which is technically only 3, but that's a minor distinction.
Yeah. So in saying that, that's a fairly new product. So there's not many tutorials and stuff to talk about, to learn how to use that. So you've had to do it yourself. So I figured this would be a good topic for us to talk about today, especially like when I was young, there was no such thing as, YouTube was around, I think. I can't even remember when it first started, but
yeah, I don't
like tutorials and stuff weren't around. All the big woodworkers and all that weren't around when I first started woodworking, and there wasn't all these tutorials to help me through it. So I thought it'd be good to talk about that sort of stuff because especially with you having this new tool that everyone doesn't have, there's not 1,000 tutorials out there to just show you how to do it.
Yeah. Well, I will say that it was a definite learning curve trying to figure out how to use a rotary CNC, and there definitely wasn't a lot of information on the internet.
Yeah.
I'm not really that much of a go look up the answer kind of guy in the first place.
That's good
part
in
of
this
my
case.
kick. Part of my whole kick on this is the challenge of trying to figure this shit out for myself.
Yeah.
So I don't normally turn to the internet for a tutorial on how to do a CNC project, because that's the part of the challenge that I put myself up against in the first place. I don't even want to know how somebody else did it. But I tell you, if I want to figure out how to get the back off my gosh darned washing machine, I'm going to be right onto YouTube in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'm more the kind of person that would pull it apart, but then have to YouTube how to put it back together.
Yeah.
So stressful.
Well,
And I am.
Normally I'm about 8 screws taken out and the damn thing still won't come apart. And then I go search for what's the magic button that you got to pry on it right at this one spot to make it pop off. I usually take a bunch of screws out, and then when nothing happens, I'm off to YouTube.
Yeah.
But
Before we get too much into the episode, I just realized I'm a shit host because this is Gret's job. We completely went over what we've been working on.
yeah, what's in your clamps?
Yeah.
Well, what's in my
There
clamps?
you go.
I just stretched my ears up to 16 mil. They are stinging like crazy. I'm officially stopping at 16 mil because I was 12 mil for years. Went up to 14 a couple of weeks ago. Just went up to 16, and 16 feels so much better. 12 was still a bit loose. I think I had some heavy ones in there when they were 12s. And even going up to 14, I feel like they had already stretched themselves a bit already. But these ones are really tight, so hopefully it'll be good. But they're little turbos, and they spin. The inside rotor spins.
So cute.
So
Nice.
as I'm hanging out of a tray and leaving a station, all I can hear is it going.
I love that.
Oh, that's funny. And my kids won't stop blowing on them. But yeah. What else are we working on? Oh, yeah. So I've been 3D, I say to 3D designing, but 3D modeling everything for my bike. So anyone who watches Mr. Beast would understand what I'm saying. But Mr. Beast has these transitions where it'll have an island, and the island has the different parts of the video, different challenges, and it will move from one to one. So what I want to have, I've got to have all the parts that I've bought to put on the bike. I'm modeling all those, going to have them on a workbench in Blender, which will then fly into a model of the bike and sort of go into place to show what I'm about to install. So I've been going through and doing all that, although I had a very stressful day today because yesterday I took the license plate bracket with me to work with the vernier calipers, modeled the entire thing, down to every bolt has threads and everything because I want them to thread in, spin as they go in place and stuff and all that in the animation. And then today I took more parts to model, couldn't find the vernier calipers in my bag, couldn't find the parts, the license plate parts or anything. And I'm thinking, crap, I've left them behind on the train yesterday. Stressed about it all day, calling so many people saying, hey, has anyone handed these in? I can't find them. Turns out they were sitting on the workbench at home the whole day. Because I'm looking going, great, I'm going to have to buy new LEDs, new license plate bracket, all this stuff because I thought I'd lost it all. Yeah.
That is me every day with something.
Right.
I relate.
I was honestly just flattened. All day I'm just this just sucks. I didn't care too much about the vernier calipers. I can buy new ones. It's more the license plate bracket and stuff has already been powder coated, and I'd have to wait weeks for it to get shipped for a new one from AliExpress because that's where I got it from.
Well, I'm happy.
Well, at least you put it down somewhere. You found it.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is that as soon as I saw that the vernier calipers weren't in the bag as well, I thought, shit, I must have lost them because I wouldn't have taken both out of my bag, I thought. And then I got home and I saw the vernier calipers on the workbench. And I thought, okay, if they're on the workbench, I must have put the little bag of parts somewhere. And it was like over behind the bike that I'm working on. So I couldn't see it when I was looking for it this morning before I went to work.
Don't you love
well,
past you?
it's
Past yous are the worst.
it's not every day that you being an idiot was actually the best case scenario.
It's true.
I know.
Because I mean, that's
It's
still
funny.
better than you left it on a damn train and you never see it again. At least you get to kick yourself and go, whoops, oh well, and move on. You know.
Well, because I was thinking to myself, because I would have left it in the crew cab. So, like, it's not like I would have, no customers would, like, whoever got the train after me would have found it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, surely, like, I remember putting it in my bag. And then, like, I called, and one of the guys I called, our booker on, he goes, I'll do some investigation for you and get back to you. Like, just give me some time. And he called shift managers, the maintenance staff, everyone, and was like, hey, like, has anyone found it? He just messaged me. He goes, hey, I've called like shift manager and everyone, and no one has seen it. I said, actually, I was literally about to call you. Just got home and I'm an idiot. Yeah. So
What a mess.
that was my fun
What
day.
about you, Jeff?
Oh, let's see. What have I been up to?
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
I just finished making a pencil.
That is so cool.
Sounds
loved
silly,
watching that.
but it's a 30
Massive
inch
golf pencil.
It's a 30 inch. Yeah, it's a golf pencil. It's about 3.25 across and about 30 inches long, and beautifully sharpened.
Oh, yes.
And it even writes.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
It even writes. I embedded a. I don't know if you can see the focus on this. I embedded
You
a
just see
piece
the
of.
change of color.
I embedded a piece of pencil lead into the tip of it. You know those workshop pencils. They're like a Pica pencil. They're like green. They use it's a thicker. It's not like mechanical
rectangle
pencil
ones?
lead. They're shit. Let's see. They're these things.
Oh, those ones. Carpenter pencil, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a carpenter pencil, except a mechanical pencil, and it uses a thicker lead than most mechanical pencils. Because if you take a normal mechanical pencil and you try to draw a line across a board, it's just going to break instantly. So, I mean, this thing sharpens to a very, very fine point. So it's good for fine woodworking, and it's a thicker pencil. So I drilled a little tiny tip in the pencil and I embedded about a 1/2 inch deep in there with the pencil lead. So you really can't see it until you really stick your nose on it. But, you know, I wanted to have it work. And the whole point to this thing was that I've kind of been known for sharpening pencils because last year, this time, I sharpened 3 pencils 3 different ways on my CNC. And they got millions of views. And I probably picked up 1,000 followers over it.
Oh, wow.
And then, like a month and a half, I don't know, maybe January, I had a break in my content while I was doing the CAD and the CAM ahead of time for the pencil. I was trying to prepare for the pencil and I was looking for something to post. So I decided to repost those. So I reposted those 3 pencil sharpening videos, which again have pulled millions of views. Then I went ahead and sharpened 2 pencils on the rotary, which have gotten pretty decent views as well. And I was thinking, okay, I'm basically done with the pencil sharpening thing. I've done 5 of these. I think I've played. I don't want to be the pencil sharpening guy. I want this to be something fun that I did, not something that who I am going on out forward. So I figured, okay, I'm done sharpening pencils. What should I do next? And then I'm like, what if I just closed it out by making an enormous pencil and then sharpening that one and call that the grand finale and put a fork in it? I'm done with pencils now. I figured that's that. Why not? And
I think that's a good conclusion. Yeah.
I've been looking to make something supersized on the rotary for a while now. And I've gone through a couple of ideas. I was actually thinking about making one of the Ethan Carter leather wrapped X-Acto knives that most of us have one
Oh,
of.
that would
These are
be cool.
fantastic. And he's handed out a few hundred of these things, or sold a few hundred of these things over the past few years. I was thinking about doing one of those, but I never got around to figuring out how to do the inlay for the laces on it. But then when I came across the pencil idea, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the supersized project that's perfect for the rotary, and it's going to look beautiful to sharpen this thing. And hopefully we'll just, get some more views and followers out of it. And what the hell, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's cool
Oh,
too,
that
because
was
like a normal person would probably just make the pencil part and then also then CNC like the point of the different color and just glue it on. Whereas you actually embedded it so you could sharpen the pencil.
Yeah. Yeah. I used the rotary to carve a perfect cylinder. It's like 1.25 inches across, perfect cylinder of walnut. And it was about maybe 4 inches long. And I drilled a 1.25 inch hole in the end of the pencil and stuck in some glue and hammered that sucker all the way home. Having calculated with Fusion that if the end of the pencil becomes the tip of the pencil, how far in do I have to embed the lead for it to be further in than I need it to be shown?
Yeah.
And there's probably 1.5 inches of lead that you can't see that keeps going into the pencil. As I gave it a little buffer. Why
So you
not?
could sharpen it more when it gets blunt.
Yeah, sure. I'm not even 110% sure I can change the lead. When I pushed it in there, it was a little bit snug, but I could pull it right back out. But then I spent a little bit of time writing with it, and now I cannot with my fingers pull the lead out directly
no.
and if I try to grab it with anything mechanical, it's probably just going to smash. So if anybody ever wants to change the lead in this thing, they're probably just going to have to drill it out with an 1/8 inch bit and put in another one.
So
But
what's your plan with the pencil now? What are you going to do with it?
I have no idea.
If anyone wants to buy a big pencil, message Jeff.
Yeah, if
really
anybody
nice.
wants to buy a big pencil, I'm not looking for an enormous amount of money, but
Ask Jackman works if you'll buy it.
Oh, Jackman.
Yeah.
That's perfect for him.
Yeah.
You're the CNC Jackman.
Yeah. I don't think I want to lock myself into that corner either. I try to be a kind of a free spirit. I just can't lock myself into anything, and as long as I'm not going to get paid for this, I'm going to do something new, original, fun, and completely different every time, if possible, or as close to it. So I don't know. Actually, there's nothing in my clamps at the moment. The pencil is out of my clamps as of I think I've got a little bit more content I can post for it, but I mean it's done.
Yeah.
I'm at the and I'm not actually making anything right now. I'm working on some graphics for a secret project for something I'm making for a friend, and I'm doing some research towards a project that is for conversation you guys are going to have later. Hoping to participate in your little shindig again this year. So I've
Yeah.
got an idea of something I want to make, but I need to research how to do a few things that I don't understand that are a little bit more on the um, machinist side of things than I normally do. So, I mean, I usually do just wing it most of the time with the CNC stuff and play with Fusion until I get it to do what I want. I'm a happy button pusher, knowing full well where the back button is if something doesn't look right. But when it comes to things like carving interior threads on something, for
Oh.
example, that becomes more of a research topic than a
that sounds
let's just
horrifying.
try it. I'm going to need a special router bit for that and some knowledge I don't have. I don't know a shit about threads. You could, I mean, I know what a 1/4-20 means, but just a 1/4-inch bolt with 20 pitch thread. Actually, I don't know what 20 pitch thread means, but I know it's a standard number.
I feel you there. I know nothing about that.
Speaking of the clamp challenge, Jessy, what's in your clamps?
So I have been failing at stained glass. I have exploded a piece of glass. That's pretty much all I've accomplished. A lot of it is just completely counterintuitive to everything I do normally. When I draw, when I sew, when I embroider, I normally pull towards myself. You're supposed to push away to score the glass. Did not realize that until I watched a couple videos. Yeah. So my score line sucked, and my tools, which we'll talk about later, no fucking none. No instructions. And people all over the internet shitting on them, saying they're horrible. So I bought one, a better version. So this is a running plier, and I bought a nicer metal version that I see all of the stained glass artists use. This I don't think I should have even got. So yeah, I have exploded glass and cleaned up exploded glass and organized myself, but haven't got any further than that. But I'm hoping when the new running pliers come and the clear glass I ordered comes, I will be doing a little bit better, because right now all of the stained glass that I have is textured in some way. And so it makes it really hard to see the score line, which I need to see because I'm new and dumb and I don't know what I'm doing.
score the line and then go over it with a texter to add some ink in it.
I did. Well, I could probably do that. Yes. I think because my score lines sucked so much the first time, I couldn't do anything to make them visible. So it's
fair enough.
Sharpie.
Yeah.
Sharpie would stick in the groove.
Yeah, I have a metallic Sharpie because I've heard from 2 books now and a couple of YouTube videos that the black Sharpies on some of the more textured glass, it will just never come off all the way. And so I'm a little worried about that, but I got some metallic ones, so fingers crossed.
So Jessy's been learning this new skill, and just because I like to watch her squirm, I want to see how she can segue this back into our topic.
Oh my God. Well, on the topic tonight of things not having any instructions, what I was talking about a second ago, these running pliers by Fletcher, they came highly recommended from one glass artist that I ordered from. However, when it came to actually using them, the package says nothing. All it says is that they have interchangeable plates, that's what they call them, and that it's super easy and everything's going to go really well. Well, number one, the plates are not super easy to switch out. I don't know how the hell you're supposed to make it easy. And I felt really stupid and got online and started looking at reviews. Everybody else had the same damn problem. I was sitting here with needle nose pliers, and then I used a tiny crochet hook to get them out because I didn't know what else to do.
So that person that highly recommended them, is that the person you bought them from?
Yep.
Yeah. Oops.
Well, that's one of the things that happens when you don't know what the hell you're doing. You take someone's
Yeah.
advice and maybe it's not always great.
Don't ever take advice from someone that you're giving money to.
That's good advice.
I think that's pretty fair because that's how I feel about YouTube. I'm like, anytime somebody's trying to teach me something, but they're also selling like 10 things in the video, no,
Well,
not really.
it's funny you say that because I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and it was a like spill your guts, like if you eat this gross thing or answer the hard question. And one of the questions was, do you actually play the games that you have as sponsors? And they were like, whoa.
Yes,
it's like
when
you're
I'm
getting
on
paid
camera.
to promote it.
Yeah, when I'm
No,
on camera.
he said like, no, actually, I play a few of them, but not all of them. Sorry, Raid.
God, Raid.
Like, there's no way everyone plays Raid.
Mm-mm. It doesn't look that good, to be honest.
Probably not.
No, I'm not a mobile game person anyway.
I am, but it's only like a couple. I just get sucked into stuff for like years. Yeah.
Years. Yeah, years. The one that's been killing me for years, or I've been killing it, depending on how you view, is the Mario Kart Tour. There's the mobile Mario Kart, and you can do single player versus like 7 com racers, or you can play online versus actual other people somewhere, and it's just addictively fun. I've probably put a half hour into it every day for like the last,
Oh, wow.
I don't know, 3 years maybe, 4. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been an addiction. But I mean, I don't sit on it all day, but I probably put 20 or 30 minutes in every day sometime.
Mm. Yeah, that's how I am with mine. It's like, well, I can't do anything else because something's uploading or downloading, and so I'll just sit there for a second.
Let's write us a
But-
bit reels and send a 50 on me, Jeff.
Yeah.
We just send reels to each other all day.
Yeah. The full disclosure here. Adam and I are in a relationship where he
Yep.
sends me reels and I send him reels, and we both laugh about them.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That is so cute. I love that name.
Well, that was one of the reels we sent each other, was one that said that. That's so.
Yep.
I saw that and I'm like, hey, that's us. And I sent it to
Yep.
him.
Mhm. So, Jeff, I am curious, since you don't look up anything, how do you do trial and error to figure out what works? Like, how long of a process is that, and how do you approach it?
Well, Fusion is pretty good because everything has a hover text. Once you open Fusion, it's like every mode of Fusion, because Fusion's got like 6 different modes.
Yeah.
They've got design mode, and there's a manufacture mode, and there's a render mode, and an animation mode, and shit, I don't remember. There's a couple more probably.
Mesh.
Each mode has a big gotcha moment where you have to figure out the big main thing to make it work. And when you're in design mode, the big gotcha is that you have to make a 2-dimensional sketch and then save that, and then you can extrude those sketches out into the real world with tools. That's the big gotcha moment for the CAD. When you're in manufacture mode, the big gotcha moment is the setup. The setup is a big that's the big complicated one, where you tell it what part you're going to be carving, you tell it which side is facing up, you tell it which side is facing left, which side is forward, you tell it which corner of the part is registering as 0 point, where you mark the CNC as 0. You say, well, I want it to be dead center in the top, or you want it to be in the lower left corner on the bottom of the workpiece. And then you also define how much wood you're starting with. You say, this is the size of the part I'm carving, but you also define the size of the stock that you're carving it out of. So it knows you're starting with this much wood and then you're ending with this much part. So that's the big gotcha. Once you get past those gotcha moments, everything else in Fusion, you can hover over it and it'll bring up a big contextual hover menu that explains exactly what this thing does. And then when you click on it, it usually brings up a window with 17 different options that you can configure it with. And you hover over all of those. And you basically, you hover over everything and you just click on shit and see what it does and see what happens. And normally there's a cancel button. Otherwise, there's a back button. If you don't like what it's doing, you just move on. So with me, once you get past those big main intro moments for each of the modes, it's just a matter of clicking around and trying things. And part of it for me with this is that I understand that people think in different ways. Some people think in words like a book. Some people just think in vague thoughts and ideas. I think in 3D. I can see things in my head just like Fusion can. And I can see it in my head. I can flip it over. I can blow it up. I can shrink it down and see it from different sides. So normally I will think up a problem offline, like I want to make a pencil. And then I'll think about it and go, okay, I'm going to have to take this size of a board. I'm going to have to figure out how to hold it in the machine properly. And then I'm going to have to tell it that I want it to carve in a certain direction. And then I just start clicking on things until I make it. And the beautiful thing is about the Fusion doing the CAM, other than other software. I mean, most other software, you're giving it, it's like the easel and the carbide programs that most people get started with. You're throwing a 2D sketch at it, and then you're telling it that I want this outer line to be the full contour cut for the outline, and I want these inner lines to be pockets. But you just kind of have to see it in your own damned head because they're not really going to show you shit on these pieces of software. Whereas Fusion, once you've modeled the part in 3D, and then once you create a toolpath that's going to carve off some of it, it will actually show you the part that's left of what's there, as well as doing simulations of the toolpath. You get to see what this toolpath is going to accomplish, and you can see with the green areas what parts have been reached and what parts haven't been reached. So that'll give you, I mean, it's a very visual program, and it's got lots of tips that pop up when you hover everything. It's very user friendly for somebody that's used to just figuring it out themselves.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That is wild. Well, and the fact that you think in 3D, I am so jealous of. I do not. I am a very flat in words person. Oh man, that must be awesome.
It's very nice.
Are you, Jessy, are you one of those people that can't see the finished project?
Yeah, I kind of just have to make my way there. I have a hard time visualizing.
I can envision like any project completely finished, and my wife can't. So it's always that, like, she thinks it looks like shit, but she doesn't realize that I can see what it's going to look like when it's done.
Yeah.
Doesn't trust the process.
I am I don't trust the process very much, and I kind of panic, and then eventually it turns out okay. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got several stages along the way to boost the confidence, because first I can design something that in my head, I can say, I want to make a pencil, and I can see it in my head that it's, it's 6-sided, it's this long, and it's got a lead in the end. And then I want to make a a metal band at the back, as well as an eraser, of course, and, maybe a number 2 on the side. I can see that in my head. And then I can go to Fusion and I can create it in the CAD. And once the pencil on the screen looks like the one in my head, then that's the confidence boost that I'm on the right track, that once I get it into the software, out of my head and into the software, then that's the hard part, because I'm not super good with CAD. I'm not bad with it, but I'm not super great. I'm not let's make a unicorn kind of CAD user. I'm like, I can make a really cool box. I can fillet the edges a little bit, but I mean, I'm not, I'm not blob level.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely the same. Like the license plate bracket, for instance, I modeled the entire thing from scratch, just with a pair of vernier calipers, like measuring each thing and then adding chamfers and fillets and stuff wherever I needed to. But tell me to make like a donut like I did in Blender in Fusion, there's no way.
No, I couldn't do it.
No.
I couldn't do it. I know there's I don't remember what they call it. There's the primitives, I think, where you can create blobs of certain shapes that have a bunch of points that you can drag and move around and do things with. And I poked at it for like 10 minutes and I'm like, this is not intuitive. So, I mean, I'd like to figure that out. I'd also like to learn Blender to do things that are a little bit more organic, that just don't seem to be Fusion centric.
Yeah.
I mean, I said this in your Discord on the Blender topic, is that I wouldn't make a realistic looking donut in Fusion, and I wouldn't try to model a bookcase in Blender.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like I'm exactly the same like that. If it was something more natural, then I would use Blender. But modeling in Fusion and transferring it over into Blender has been massive for me, because I'm pretty good at Fusion. Like it only took me 6 hours in between stops on a train to model all these parts and bolts and everything and get it all in place. And then putting it into Blender, and the only reason why I'm using Blender instead of Fusion for the animation side is because Fusion has a lot more texture libraries, tutorials, and all that sort of stuff for animation, whereas like I have 2 add-ons in Blender at the moment where I can literally just search glass and then tell it to apply it to a certain part, and it automatically makes that part like clear and look glassy and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Fusion, I'd have to work out how to try and do that. You could probably download textures and stuff, but Fusion's not really used for animation and stuff as much. So there's not as many tutorials on it. So Blender's, I found, a lot easier. The only issue I'm having with Blender now is trying to learn how to do lighting and stuff properly, because stuff isn't looking as realistic as I'd like it to.
I have done the animation in Fusion before. It's not awful, but it's not fantastic. I would rate it as usable, functional. I mean, you've already got your parts in that damn software already. If you've designed them there, you've already got them there. It's not super, super hard to figure out how to make things do what they want.
Yeah. I mean, I've done that animation in Fusion before, but it was literally just showing either a part exploding.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Or doors opening, and that was it. Yeah. I wasn't trying to actually make it look realistic. I was just showing my wife how something would function.
Yeah, the exploded animation is all I ever really see on Instructables, because it's cool. It doesn't take that long, and people love to do it for their electronics projects. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I discovered today that you can literally just right click on the model, like the top, whatever the top of the tree is in Fusion. I can't remember what it's called. Right click that, go save as mesh, export it as an OBJ, and it will automatically export every single part that you have into its own OBJ file, and then you just drag them all into Blender, and it all just loads in. So you don't have to go through the process of exporting each part individually. It'll automatically put them all separate, and then you put it into Blender. Like it was literally like a 10-second process to get it into Blender.
That's awesome. I figured that would be so much more tedious. That is.
Well, the funny thing is, when I first did it for the camera dolly that I talked about in the Discord, I exported each part individually because I thought I had to. And then today I was like, surely there's a way, because I first did it with like everything selected, but it imports it into Blender as one file. So everything's then one part, and you'd have to probably go through and separate everything, and it's just a pain in the ass. And then I couldn't like make everything different colors or textures and stuff. So going through and actually exporting every part individually really sucked. But then today I was like, because there was so many parts for this license plate bracket, and I'm like, surely there's a way that I can export it all individually, because I wanted every bolt to be individual, because I want them all to fly in separate and not like. Whereas when I did it with the camera dolly, I just did all the bolts as one because I didn't care about the animation. I just wanted to get them into place.
Now, when you figured out how to right click on the top of the tree and export them all at once, did you figure that out on your own, or did you look that up on getting a tutorial on YouTube for that?
Wasn't a tutorial on YouTube, but it was an answer on Google. Because I looked up like how to export all bodies as like at the same time. And then that was the best thing I could come up with, because it was actually someone asking the same thing of getting the file from Fusion into Blender.
Well, at least we touched the topic.
Yeah, well, I still have a couple questions. We're going to try real hard. So Blender, do they have a lot of learning content like Fusion does? Because I think that's one of the biggest strengths for Fusion, because like Jeff was saying, tooltips fucking everywhere, and there's so many online courses.
So, I mean, I haven't looked into Blender that much, but I feel like a lot of the tutorials for Blender for modeling is more the organic style stuff. Fusion, a lot of the tutorials I see is all on modeling. And then a lot of the tutorials I see for Blender is the animation and texturing and all that sort of stuff. So it's sort of like kind of as if you took Fusion and split it into two programs, but then there's tutorials on the two different things. So, I mean, and as I said, it only took like 10 seconds to get the model into Blender. So it's not really anything extra, right? Like, didn't take any longer really than just clicking the animation button on Fusion.
So I ended up on Blender's website to see their tutorials, and yeah, they don't have a lot.
No, there's a lot of
drives me crazy.
A lot of people on like people putting out their own tutorials. You know, I don't think I've ever watched a Fusion made tutorial.
Oh, really? Of course, that's what I know because I work there. So it's like, you know, the Fusion in 90 minutes course and all the different projects you can make with it to learn stuff. Like, so I'm
pretty sure you watched at least one of my Fusion tutorials.
No. I'm saying made by Fusion.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I've watched plenty of tutorials on how to do stuff in Fusion.
Okay.
See, and this is the other thing too, like the learn Fusion in 90 minutes and the how to make stuff Fusion for makers or whatever it is.
If Autodesk makes content, I'm unaware of it.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm not really. Yes, I did the donut just because I was curious to see what Blender is like and what could be achievable. But I'm not the kind of person that watches tutorials just to learn how to use a program. I'm more of someone that will go to model something and go, I don't know how to do this, and then search that one thing. And I won't watch the whole video. I'll just watch, unless it's someone I like. But unless I won't usually watch the whole video, I'll get what I need to find out and then get off it.
Mm-hmm. Y'all learn so much different than me. That is what I'm figuring out here. Because like I was saying earlier, just the damn running pliers not having any instructions on the package. I was so frustrated with that because you can't tell me the plates are easy switch if you don't tell me how to do it. And I even went to their website. They have a really bad website that looks like it's from the 1990s. And also, no documentation there. Like, I love documentation. And the more documentation either like software or a product has, the more likely I am to buy it, just because it's like less chances for me to be an idiot with it. It makes me feel better.
Well, I think I like Jeff, like the challenge as well. But then when I say I look up a tutorial on how to do something, is if I really can't work it out on my own.
Yeah.
Like I searched multiple times how, like, trying to work out how to export everything as an individual OBJ at once. But the thing is, to do it, you click save as mesh, which is the last thing I would have never thought of that. Like,
yeah.
Well, this is actually something we're talking about at work with Tinkercad, like trying to get people to model better habits when designing, like designing the right way. We've been talking about that a little bit, and I am one of those people that would love to know that, because when I just fuck around with stuff, I don't know if I don't have the patience for it or if I just assume it's not going to end well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I might just come from a different mentality. I'm Gen X, which, I was taught not to stop and ask for fucking directions. I mean, that's my generation, and there were no goddamn directions for anything, So it was a lot more self-reliant, figure it out, or you're going to have to wait and ask somebody that might know, or you're just screwed,
And that's a good point, because I grew up and was like in my teenage years right when the internet was taking off. So I just Googled everything. Yeah.
And the other thing is that I've watched software evolve from absolute stripped down nothing into what it is today, because there were no computers when I was growing up. I think I was 12 when we got an Apple II Plus, which was amazing. It had a one color screen, and the keyboard was attached to it, and I think it had like 2 megabytes of RAM. And when you turn it on, it doesn't do anything. You've got to put a DOS floppy in, and then you get a command prompt, and you have to start typing things. I've been playing with computers since those days, and I've seen the software get more user-friendly, and it's evolved into what it is today. But I've been using the software this whole time. So I mean, not just a specific software, but just I've been using computer software of all varieties and figuring out how to use whatever they've got out this decade for the past, 40 years. So it's just feeling my way around a piece of software and just hovering the buttons and see what it says, or just clicking every damn one of them to see what it does, is really just something in my comfort zone, because I've been figuring out how to use non-user friendly software for 40 years. This stuff is much easier than the shit I was playing with 20 years ago when I was experimenting with like Lightwave CAD like 20 years ago, and there were no instructions and there was no YouTube tutorials, and it was a different beast.
It's like now you go to these building websites, and you literally just click and drag what you want.
Yeah, you could just drag modules around.
Whereas, like, I grew up with MySpace, where you had to do everything through HTML text.
Yep. Yeah, we all felt like real hackers.
Like,
adding
imagine
whatever the hell.
making a website with HTML is insanity to me.
Well, and I built quite a few of those, when I was growing up, but if I couldn't figure something out, I was able to Google it. And it was
I had a half a dozen websites that were just straight HTML coded straight from the keyboard to Notepad, uploaded FTP, and hit refresh. I had a half a dozen of those, and there wasn't much in the way of tutorials for how to make an HTML website back in the day either. And I would go to a website and I would see that this website had some cool functionality that I'm like, that's cool. How does that work? Right click, view source. Read the code, try to figure out which piece of that damned code made it do the cool thing, copy that out, and learn how to paste that into my own code to make it do something. There weren't tutorials for that shit either. We're talking we're talking Windows 95 here. So
I'm not going to lie, I didn't have that much patience to learn HTML. Like when I was doing my MySpace and stuff, it was literally, how do I add what's the HTML to add a song to my bio? And then I just copy and paste it and just change whatever they told me I had to change. Or I way too much effort.
But you learned which line of the code controlled the color and which block of hex defined the color. So you learned some of the code that you could then move forward with doing stuff how you wanted. So, I mean, you were kind of doing it in just a smaller way than the full websites that some of us were building.
I got really into HTML for a while. It was kind of like a puzzle. Like I just really enjoyed copy pasting stuff in and then checking and refreshing to see what changed. I was very into that as a kid. That was probably one of the last times that I trusted the process. Something happened between then and now that has just turned me into anxiety brain. So I don't know.
I'm absolutely on page with you at that one, except for the fact that I was more like 30, 35 when I was doing that.
I was like 12, 13 probably.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
But you're about the age of my daughter, so that's fair.
Oh, really? See, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, I've got kids turning 28 and 30 next month.
Oh my gosh. Well, I am 10 years older than that, so I'm going
to say, how old do you think Jessy is? Because she's older than me. Well, I'm the young one now.
But, you know.
I mean, you're not the only one. I still get called a teenager occasionally, and I'm like, I've got some wrinkles.
That's flattering.
Do that.
Get some wrinkles.
Oh my God.
I've got more gray than I have color.
No, my gray's just starting to come in. I'm pretty excited though.
And what do you call it when there's a row of 100 rabbits and they all take 2 steps backwards? A receding hairline.
That's a good one. I had no idea where you were going with that.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So on that note, we've been talking for like 50 minutes. So I don't know how much of this unhinged episode we actually touched on the topic, but anyway.
Maybe like half of it. We did good. Yeah.
I'm going to move on to talking about our clamp challenge. So we're doing our clamp challenges here. All you have to do is make a project that involves a clamp or many clamps because...
You can never have enough.
Yeah, there we go. So hang on one second. Cut this part out. Maybe I decided to start vacuuming a car again.
Well, I don't know that we can hear it, so hopefully we're okay.
So turn that clamp into something functional, artistic, or just plain fun, like Jeff's Clamposaurus, and you will have a chance to win great prizes. The project has to be a new project that is completed between the start of March 1st, 2024. Why is it that red weird? And the end of the challenge, so just got to have it in by April 30th, 2024, America time. So if you're in Australia, you've got till the day after.
America time, yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff, no, you can't put Clamposaurus in again because it has to be a new project. To enter, all you need to do is post your project on Instagram with the hashtag Clamp Challenge 2024 and tag @Clampcast by the 30th of April for your chance to win. Sponsors so far include Chapman Manufacturing And make sure that if you go there to buy, I can't remember the specific number, but I think it's on our website or in the show notes. Jessy will put it in the show notes. The certain number of the screwdriver set, use CLAMP24 to get a discount. Again, I don't remember what it is because Grant knows all this
I
stuff.
think it's 5575 is the master screwdriver set. Pretty sure it's
Sounds
15% off. I think so.
Okay. Right. Homemade Industrial is also giving a prize, and ISO Tunes, which is one thing off their website of your choosing. So, yeah. And Patreon, I want to thank our F-Clamp level. We have Scott from Dad It Yourself DIY, Joe Hardina, David Wood from DW Wood Builds, Brad from I'm Gonna Make, and Chad from Chad's Custom Creations. If you want to join us over on Patreon, it's patreon.com/clamp, and you will get access to the after show, entry into Gnome Hammer giveaways, and a keychain made by Grant. And if you want to support us in another way, you can also buy our merch, and we have a link to that on our website. Yep. And CLAMPmendations.
Well, my CLAMPmendation is a guy that I'm sure nobody's heard of before in this community. His name is Nick Birchtold.
Birchtold Designs.
Yeah, Birchtold Designs. He just made a mallet that is the most... Jessy, have you seen this?
I'm looking.
You're about to shit yourself, okay? He made a mallet, and the head of the mallet is a 3D carve of Jason Voorhees with the mask on it, with blood dripping on it.
Oh my
and
God,
it's encased in resin. It's encased in clear resin.
Oh my
And then
God,
the handle is a fucking machete.
I just got to the handle part.
With the blood dripping down it, and it is, and it's got stuff written all over it. And he made this as a gift to Tiff from, I believe, Night Carver Designs.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, he made that as a gift for her, and it is hands down the coolest thing I've seen made for a long time.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is so freaking creative. I love it.
I knew you would like that.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed that, but I'm happy I know now. Yeah, that's awesome. I will put a link in the show notes right to one of the reels so people can get to it easy. Let's see. Am I next? Yes. Okay, so another Instructables author that I want to recommend this week, Lone Soul Surfer. This guy really isn't on social media, but he posts a ton into Instructables. He has 234 Instructables. Every single one of them is awesome. He makes a lot of synths and lamps and lighters. It's kind of a little bit all over the place, but every project is beautiful and so well presented. The secret book switch is one of my favorites, which is like a book you can pull to turn on a lamp on a bookcase. And all of the synths are really fun. They have great videos. So yeah, I would recommend browsing through some of their 234 Instructables because I find them very inspiring to look at.
That's a lot of Instructables.
It is. Yeah, I think he might be 4th or 5th in number, maybe. I'm trying to remember.
I don't know. I think I've got 3, maybe 4. I don't remember, but they're a considerable amount of work.
Yep.
And even for what would be much easier for me, because I've already established like a build video where I've got the shots and the pictures all lined up in order, and I've got a voiceover script, and it's just a matter of pulling out the pictures, sticking them into groups, and turning the voiceover into the word sections. And even with that much head start, doing Instructable and doing a decent job of it is still, 3-4 nights worth of work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very particular skill.
And it takes longer if you really want to snazz it up and do. I don't
Want
know
to try
how
and
many.
win?
Well, how many people have actually figured out you can use animated GIFs on these things?
Not many, because it's something we don't really like advertise. Yeah, so not many people know. And there's also like a GIF limit, like a GIF limit size. I think they have to be under 25 megabytes, maybe. So like,
Yeah,
not
I've
everybody
hit that
does
wall.
that. Yeah.
I've hit that wall, but it's fun because I'll take like a 5 or 7 second clip, run it through some website that'll convert
Mhm.
to an animated GIF, and then start playing with the little sliders to reduce the quality and the
Yep.
size on it until we hit the limit that Instructables likes.
Yep.
But I can't even imagine how many years of long effort it would take to do 234 Instructables.
Yeah, let me see
Yeah,
his
that's
sign
insane.
up date.
That's a commitment.
Because I feel like he's
Like
been around
maybe we should be
forever.
committed.
Okay, since
So my
2011, he's been making them. So, he's had over a decade.
Well,
13 years, yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
I don't think
So
I
my-
even heard of it. I don't think I even heard of it until maybe your first episode visit to Clamp
Maybe.
back in the day might have been when I heard of it, really.
my
What
phone
about
finally
you?
loaded. Holy shit, that mallet is sick.
Right?
Anyway, my claimation for this week is a streaming service called True Blue. It is owned by Chris Hansen, and surely everyone knows who that is.
Yeah.
But so Chris Hansen has 7 seasons on there, but there's other crime. It's pretty much all crime. I mean, it is all crime shows, but he does a show called Takedown, and it's essentially To Catch a Predator, but he's doing it on his own now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's not with that company or stuff anymore, so it's all like it's some like official thing that he does now with like the cops and stuff. But each episode is just like the individual person. It's not like a whole like episode. So each episode's only like 7 minutes long. But yeah, it's just but the streaming service itself is pretty cool. Like it's pretty cheap. It's only $50 for the year US. But if you use the code Psycho Yearly, I think it is Psycho Yearly. So Psycho, I'm stealing this code from Psychopedia. Psycho Yearly gets you 30% off for the year. Or if you do monthly, Psycho Monthly is the code and you get 50% off for your first month. And it's only $5 a month or $4.99. So yeah.
That is a really good discount. Normally you don't get 30% off of something.
Yeah. It's like literally $30 bucks. It's like $30 for the year or something like that. It's hectic. So
yet we still need another streaming service.
Wow.
Now I'm waiting for the day that someone comes along and bundles all the streaming services together, just like cable did, 40 years ago.
And then they'll charge you like $100 a month, like cable does.
You'll just pay one flat fee, and you'll get all the streaming services. Exactly. That's exactly.
The only one I have right now is Shudder. And yeah, that's cheap every month, and I figure that's money well spent. But yeah, we got rid of Netflix and a lot of the other ones.
True Blue is the Shudder of crime, not horror.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I got on the website and I'm looking at all the stuff they have.
I mean, there's not. I will say there's not that much content on there. It's not like Netflix where there's like hundreds and hundreds of titles. There's only like 20 titles or something, but it's good and it's cheap. Like I just like watching Takedown. It was pretty cool. I used to like To Catch a Predator.
Oh my God, me too. When I worked at the bookstore, we used to have a lot of Chris Hansen jokes.
Well, what's funny is because he was on Psychopedia, they did like an interview with him.
Really?
And
that's
he was talking about like the amount of people that showed up and go, "Oh, you're Chris Hansen," and like didn't like they knew about him and still showed up. Mm-hmm. Like just the stories he had was just like some of them were even like, "Oh, I hope this isn't Chris Hansen," and then they still show up. Like, how stupid do you have to be? But yeah, he's this. If you are curious and interested, go listen to the Psychopedia episode with Chris Hansen because it's so interesting hearing his stories.
Yeah, well, I am gonna look that up.
To be fair,
I do think Chris Hansen's a creep, but
to be fair, if if Chris Hansen is hunting you down, then you're probably not thinking with the head on your shoulders in the first place.
Yeah,
So
different.
that probably
Fair point.
explains why the people are so damn stupid. Because
True. And if Chris Hansen is chasing you down, what have you been doing? Because when my search hit, no, I'm not going to go there.
Oh my God. Well, on that, how about we wrap up? I would like to thank TF Tuning for the theme song.
Who?
Thanks to, did I say tuning? I thought I did.
Yes.
Thank TF Turning for the theme song. Sorry.
Sorry, he doesn't listen anyway.
And I would like to thank Jeff for coming on. This was very fun. And yeah, if you would like to find more of us, we are on social media at Clampcast on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. You can come join our Discord server. We're around. So thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
You can
thanks for
also
having
find
me.
Jeff at a weird guy everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Thanks.